In late 1965, early 1966, sailors Steve Mulvihill and Jimmy Kennedy made a port call to Hong Kong as crew members aboard the USS Skagit. They liked to explore parts of cities, while in port, that sailors normally didn't visit, to learn about the local culture. While out exploring the dark area of the city, they did something they never expected to do. They bought a baby girl. Steve is now trying to find her. Here he is telling the story.
You couldn't, and the Kowloon section of the island, which was across the bay, was off limits. That was the British side of the island. And then also the harbor was off limits, where the fishing boats were, because all the Red Chinese were coming in there. But we went there anyway, so we went down on the docks, and we were walking around just looking, and once again, there's nobody else there but us. And we got to this like fishing boat, and up at the end of the dock was a Chinese guy. He had a little girl she was 18 months old, we found out, or he told us. And she was all dressed in a little yellow dress, and had a big bow in her hair, and that short Chinese haircut. She was adorable. Well, the short story is he sold her to us for $50. So all the money we had was $50. So we gave him our $50, and we had this girl. And then, so we're geniuses. So then we go, now what are we going to do? So we said, well, let's, we talked about, maybe we can sneak her back on the ship and feed her till we get back to the United States or whatever. And so then as we were walking out of the fishing village or harbor area, before it got to a main boulevard, there was a big crowd of Chinese people that gathered behind us that were getting pretty vocal and yelling at us about having this little girl. So we have this little girl. I was aware from reading all of these books that they were killed in China. That's why she was there, because somebody had sold her off. And so we figured she might be killed if we gave her to anybody. So we walked across the street to a policeman who was standing up in one of those little platform things, had on his white suit and everything, and we asked him if there was an orphanage. And he pointed up the road, and there was a building there, and I remember it had giant wooden doors, like a castle. And we went up and we rapped on the doors, and a nun came to the doors, and it opened up like a bad movie where it creaked, and this huge wooden door opens up, and she asked what we wanted, and we told her that we had bought this little girl and we needed to find a place for her. So she took the little girl and she shut the door through the bar. She was gone. We were broke. And we never, and I'd love to find out what happened to that little girl.
Oh, sure. Wow.
This is getting off to a side. I did write about 3 or 4 months ago. I wrote a letter on the internet, and I did some research, and I found that there's an order of French nuns that have been in Hong Kong since the 1800s, and from what I could gather from the map and the picture, that is the orphanage where we brought her. And I have a picture of her, Jimmy and I, with that little girl, but it's very dark, and but you can make out. So we took a picture before we took her over there, and I don't know how the hell we got the picture, because there were no selfies, but somebody took our picture. And so we turned her in there, and then I have no idea what we did for money or anything else, but we felt pretty good about getting her over there and getting out of there.
The baby girl would now be about 60 years old. Steve said the only thing left on his bucket list is trying to find her and find out how her life turned out. Any thoughts, ideas, and advice regarding this search are greatly appreciated. Thank you.